and welcome to episode 10 of Kingdom of Kodiak. I am Kodiak. With me today, two members and co-captains of the Valkryies, Lady Squire MacGyver Crafty Wax and Lady Lilith Everstouter. I got both of those right? I
That
did
is
it,
correct.
guys. I'm on top of it. How you guys how are you doing today?
Awesome.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this. We're setting new ground here on Kingdom of Kodiak. This is the first ever multiple interviewee scenario, so I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And it wouldn't be
a third Valkyrie might pop in at some point. She is currently cooking dinner.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Well, it wouldn't be Kingdom of Kodiak if we didn't go to the bare necessities to start off. So let's start off with your names. If you each of you could describe how you came about your name as far as Ampard goes.
Sure. Let's see. So I guess maybe the lady's obvious. And my first name Lilith. I connect with that character. I have occasionally offended people by going into depth about why I connect with that character.
Okay.
And interestingly, you're speaking to a pretty staunch atheist or agnostic, I guess it depends on the day, and a Christian pastor. So that being MacGyver. So we've managed to make it work as far as a company and a friendship. But yeah, Lilith, the character, is the mythic character who from, I believe, the Jewish Apocrypha, who was supposed to be Adam's wife and wasn't willing to submit to him, and so got kicked out, and then Eve was made to be more docile. And then she raised an army of demons. So that's the kind of the mythology behind the name I picked, and it was just the name of someone who is incredibly independent and is a warrior, and I liked those aspects. And then Everstouter has some it has some significance to me, not only because I have in fact spent my life growing slowly Everstouter, but my original last name is Stouter, and it was the email address that I came up with when I was 16 with like my brother, and we thought it was cute. And then I was like, oh, I won't be Everstouter. I got married, I changed my name. Well, then I got divorced, and so I'm back again to Stouter. That is my last name again. So I am in fact Everstouter. And at that point, it was kind of when I adopted that as my Amcard name. It just seemed appropriate.
Okay, fantastic. MacGyver, would you like to fill us in?
Yeah, first, Sir Francis wants to be acknowledged. Hi, Sir Francis. I can't log into my Facebook right now, so I actually don't see anyone's comments. So if you're making comments, I apologize, I'm not seeing them. But I came upon my name because I wanted to be a crafter, but I didn't have any skills at all, so I just made a lot of shit up. And that has sort of become... Am I allowed to swear on this? Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
No, but that's how MacGyver came to be. That I take stuff that's not supposed to go together and I make cool stuff. So that's where MacGyver came from. And Crafty Wax, I said I would take Crafty Wax. We were that's an homage to Kiara, who is Kiara Everwax. Madison is Tiny Wax. Kira is Tiny Wax. And I said if I got my 7th dragon, I'd be Crafty Wax. So
I don't even remember what I'm called. I have one, but it's in our Valkyrie.
Your first wax.
I don't remember. Huh?
Your first wax.
I don't ever see it.
Ariel or Alice's razor wax. Anyway.
Oh, that's true.
Okay, fantastic.
Thing.
So, could you each tell us how long you guys have been playing in the game?
No,
I don't know.
Probably like 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And a year less than
we went to Highland Games with my kids, and they were in a rugby tournament, and Pegasus Valley was there doing sword fighting. And after the rugby games, we went and did sword fighting for like 5 hours, and they were like, "We never want to leave." And so then I resisted, but a year later, my kids got me a bow for Mother's Day
Mhm.
and some amp guard arrows, and I was like, I gotta play now. So got into it because of the kids, but then stayed because of the kids and because I love amp guard.
Awesome. And Lilith, how long did you say?
A year less than however long MacGyver, who doesn't know how long.
It's in the orc. I'll find out.
Well, I'll use mine.
I think that
2000
MacGyver was judging the first ANS tournament I ever entered.
That's true.
So,
I remember you won, I think. Hey, there's
I didn't. I took second.
I have ground turkey hands. I can't touch anything.
Thanks for announcing that.
You're welcome. I've been playing for 10 years, not counting the 4-year hiatus, like 10 years as an active player.
That's true.
Oh, fantastic.
And actually, the very first fighter practice that I ever attended, Alice was teaching Madison how to fight, which is kind of fun.
What? No,
Cool.
That's adorable. I don't remember that.
Okay.
It was at the other park.
might have been Bellful, and I was just like telling him.
No, it was Alice.
All right. So what would you say that each of you are the award that you're most proud of?
Prater.
Defender is a big one.
Okay.
That meant a lot to me.
Go ahead, MacGyver.
Defender's a good one.
Yeah, Defender is a great title.
Well, and part of why we got it was because we promoted women's fighting. I say we, but yeah. And put on Lucha, which is such a huge event for us. I'm still heartbroken that we're not going to be able to do it. We weren't able to do it in March. I have these awesome T-shirts. I think I'm gonna have to mail to people that say Lucha 2020 on them. But yeah, that meant a lot to me. Also, my 9th dragon was kind of like the biggest thing in the universe. So
you're so close.
Yeah,
it's right
just
there.
Stay.
Right? No, that's not going to happen. Okay, so
got a lot of work ahead.
Are you also saying Defender, or is there something that you had that was special to you?
For me, I don't have a particular award that I find really special. I am delighted, however, that Xantia got the title that she'd wanted for about 10 years, Praetor.
Okay.
And it was she got it because I believe because Baldur knew she desperately wanted the title. Baldur desperately needed people to come out to the field and teach new Reeves during a reign where Xantia was having some significant issues with fibro pain. And kind of like lured her out by making the end result of completing every Reeves challenge for the whole reign was that title. So it was open to everyone in the kingdom, but he happened to know that Xantia really wanted it. And it ended up getting her to come out to the park on some days where she really may not have otherwise, and doing some really great mentoring. And she was the only one who completed all the challenges. So she is currently our Praetor. I think the only Praetor in the Kingdom of Dragonspine, as far as I know. So that just happened last year. That was really exciting. Awards that I have gotten, I have been grateful for each hard won Dragon and Garber, I guess. That's a long, slow process, and
Ariel and I go back and forth. It's really fun. So we kind of trade off Dragon Master at Pegasus Valley. It's been really nice to have another competitor that's really, really excellent. I think that she and I have pushed each other, not just in fighting, but in crafting too.
Right. Cool.
We do trade it back and forth. And yeah, I don't know. I think the recognition I've been the most excited about is people recognizing the tunics. I'll get people coming up to me and saying, "Are those yours?" And we did collaborate. The whole company did help come up with them, but I've done
in true MacGyver style. The prototype was made in duct tape. To be fair,
that's true.
All right. So I did the prototype, and then Lilith did this whole like computer simulated design, and then we made stuff out of sheets and played with it, and But it's really become a signature look for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of my favorite parts of any event is just wandering around and people catch like the skirt or the pants I'm wearing or my tunic. They're like, "That's incredible!" I'm like, "Yeah, it's a Lilith Everstouter original. This is like one of two. Get your own."
Yeah, absolutely. I know that Maze last year we got to see Sarai obtain her garb, and that was a big deal. So like she was really excited. I got to play a little bit of a hand in that, so I don't want to take too much credit, but I did get to do a little bit of prepping that. So yay, me as well. All right. All right. So battle games. I know talking to MacGyver at the beginning of this, it's been maybe not a while since battle games have been played, but maybe you could give us insight to when you do play, what is your favorite kind of battle game to play?
So I got injured. I was fighting a little much. I hurt my knee, and so I took a break from battle games because it was just hard on my body. So I enjoy games where there's a mix of where there's a mix of like the RP. So there's an entrance for everybody. So if you want to just do the RP in the game, you can. If you want to do melee, you can. If you want to be a range fighter, you can. If you want to be a team fighter, you can. So I like it when there are a couple different objectives. Those are my favorites.
Okay. Yeah.
And so my favorite class to play right now too is Archer because I can be at range and still have a lot of fun.
Cool. Lilith?
Let's see. I am really fond of Maze, despite it can be kind of sluffy in the dark. Gonna be honest, and chaotic. It is pure chaos, and I really love that. So just running around in a dark maze with no idea where you're going or what you're doing, trying to be a good teammate. I enjoy that, and then just regular everyday battle games. We play really intense Magic at Pegasus Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Some places are a little more like straight combat focused or melee focused, but we're real intense as far as the Magic goes. So I love days where I get to pair up with one of our really high level or Paragon Magic users and provide an assist. I really like being, whether in D&D or Antguard, being that character who's kind of an all-around buff and can be at the right spot in the right moment to help a teammate out.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I know from visits to Pegasus Valley as a caster from Las Cruces, it's a different world because I'm the only all the time caster in Dragonspine Cruces, and then I come to Pegasus Valley and I'm one of many. So it's a different game. But awesome.
Be right back. I'm missing something. But y'all keep talking.
So Lilith, you can lead off this question then.
Sure.
While you're playing those battle games, what's your favorite class to play?
I am AON Druid all the way. And I recognize that it needs to be nerfed. There's a lot of talk about it being nerfed in V9, and I think that is accurate. That needs to happen.
More likely we'll be having a V5 than a V9.
But I will. Our resident rules rep says V8.5 is more likely than V9. But I recognize it needs to happen while still also really enjoying the flexibility of the class, and my ability to get myself into and out of situations quickly when necessary. Because just stone forming or teleporting or whatever.
Right. So we can all agree it's the best class, and
absolutely.
I wouldn't say it need to be nerfed. It just needs to be inspected and maybe cleaned up a little bit. Zanja, don't get too far ahead of yourself. It's okay. MacGyver, could you enlighten us in what your favorite class to play is?
Archer. I'm Paragon Assassin. I love playing Assassin, but right now my melee game is not as intense. So like running and getting behind people and doing that kind of stuff is not as much my thing. Although I play Archer a lot like an Assassin. But I really like the flexibility, and also I can still go flow, which is really fun. So when people get in my face, I can still use my sticks, which I enjoy. But I like the crowd control. It's a lot of fun in Phoenix League. I have had a blast with Archer. It's very satisfying to hit people with arrows.
Sasha, did you want to answer the question?
Sure, yeah.
What's your
Depending on the battle game, either Necromancer through Healer or Wizard Battle Mage. Those are my two favorite combos. I really enjoy the tactical presentation they bring to the game. The decision is based on what death counts mean in the game. If death counts have weight, Necromancer is really powerful. If the game uses a wave respawn or some other mechanic where healers kind of lose out, I prefer going Battle Mage and just blasting CC while languidly walking around with a longsword.
So that, for anyone who had been in the Discord a couple weeks ago when we went over all the classes and talked to our rules rep, that was put more in depth in that case. Talking about
that was me. That was my whole talk.
Right. Fantastic. So now we're through the bare necessities. Sorry, Sin. But next, we need to get to the general questions that are asked every week in Kingdom of Kodiak to make sure that the people are aware of what's going on. The first question is, there's a toaster Sir Glenelf is looking for. What are we going to do about that?
Tell him to ask Robert.
Oh, yeah. Well, so Sir Glenelf has misplaced a toaster.
No, he was promised one and Robert never delivered.
He was promised a toaster. And I've asked every person that's been part of this, what are we going to do about that?
I feel like when it is socially acceptable to do so, we should go to Baldur's Door. And you know what? See, here's my problem. I don't condone courses of action which end up also harassing Baldur's lovely fiance, Charlotte, because this is probably not her fault. And she probably has no stake in this. So really, we should just harass Baldur given the opportunity.
Okay. All right. So we're changing the strategy, guys. We're not buying, everyone's not going to buy Sir Glenelf one toaster and give him hundreds. We're going to go back to Baldur and we're going to demand satisfaction. That's the plan. So, yeah. All right. MacGyver, are you in with us, or is there another strategy you'd like to implement for this?
I think any opportunity to troll Baldur is excellent.
Okay. Kingdom of Kodiak, you've been told. Please troll Baldur. The second question that we ask every week, and we need to know, especially since it is Kodiak's show, your thoughts on bears, please.
Bears.
I love bears. Bears don't usually love me. But that might be a different context of bear than what you're talking about.
I used to work for the Forest Service, and I've shouted down like 3 or 4 black bears in my lifetime.
All right. Well, here we go. The first duet that we have on triplet, King of Kodiak, is also bear friendly. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely bear friendly. I'm currently dating a bear.
Nice.
All right. So
I always played a druid bear on World of Warcraft.
Love it. All right. So now we're going to get into the household questions here. So if you can, give us a little bit about the creation of the Valkryies, maybe the in-game mythos, if you could. Is there any specific terms that you use with each other, whatnot? Whoever wants to handle that one. Yeah.
Can I start and then you continue, Ariel?
Sure.
All right. So Valkyrie started, I was actually having a chat with some of your Spinelanders or Land of Lumpier people. Amy and Ben and I were talking Feast, and I was just getting really frustrated about women's fighting and all the conversation about tournaments and all this. And I was like, it would be really nice to have a female voice of female fighters in this game. And that was kind of the very beginning thought. And from there, I just couldn't put it down. I talked to Ariel and Alice, and it went on from there. And then Kira jumped on board too. So yeah. And we had a lot of help in the process too. I mean, we've always been in conversation with other female fighters.
Shout out to Wheel.
To who?
Wheel.
Said I'd like to give a shout out.
Oh yeah. Well,
Wheel really helped us get our company wheels on the ground. It's spinning.
That's true.
That's true. We had a lot. So Wheel is who we train with a lot, and up in this area in particular, and had a lot of really good conversations with them about organization and structure and that kind of thing.
Fantastic.
They're just super supportive from the very beginning. Still are.
Is there any?
They're our brother company.
Right. Yeah. Would you say that there's any like in-game mythos to the Valkyries as far as creation or?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the name, right? I mean.
Yeah, I think that so we went through a lot of names. We did before we formed. We argued and constructively discussed many different options, and nothing had the background and the ring to it. And I think that Thor Ragnarok had just come out too, and we loved that aesthetic and that use of this this concept of this kind of female vanguard, this this fighting force that would be training together and working together. And so you're gonna have to forgive me for being punny here, but we decided eventually that we really didn't need to reinvent the wheel. So nice. we had gone through unique names, and we know that there are other companies named Valkyrie. There are some cross gaming households and that sort of thing named Valkyrie, and women's tournaments are sometimes called Valkyrie tournaments. Those have nothing to do with us. They're their own thing. And so we understand that we weren't taking something completely new, but we were taking something that was a really solid basis of this idea of female fighters working together and making it our own.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
I really like the connotations of the afterlife that come with Valkyrie. Like, no one else is going to bring that up, but because I'm the token mystic, I absolutely will. Valkyrie means originally choosers of the slain, which I think is awesome.
Right. We get to decide who lives and dies. So
that's awesome. That fits. That's so cool. I actually didn't know that, so I'm very excited. That's cool. Big. All right. So when did the Valkyries form? Why did they? You explained the why. And you explained a little bit of the how, but when was that?
I can look it up.
Yeah, we have
a lot of documents.
Yeah.
You know how there's sort of like the first 100 days of Amtgard? It's actually not on this. Okay, I'll find it. But we have the first 100 days of Valkyries. I should have reviewed it if I'd known. But it was probably, 3 years ago?
Yeah, it was about.
It'll be 3 years in September. So yeah, really new company.
Yeah. I know that I remember the Valkyries being around when I started. And I think we confirmed last week with Deverick that it's been about 2 years and 6 months or 7 months. So 3 years makes sense. Okay, so again, you've mentioned some of the members, but why don't we get a little bit of a rundown on your squad?
Okay.
We've got Ariel and myself, the two captains. Then we've got Alice, who's third to join. Then we've got Kira and Sarai, and that's it right now.
Yep.
Sarai just was brought in November.
So there was a question in the chat from Zana, wanted to get a little bit of insight into bringing Sarai in without giving any of your customs or traditions away. If you want to talk a little bit about that, that'd be great.
About why we put Sarai in or how it works?
Why, how, without the traditions that you have in place being let out into the open, but talk a little bit about a new initiate coming into the Valkyries.
Well,
so first you gotta.
Sorry, go ahead, MacGyver.
Well, first you have to know us. We had a lot of conversations about bringing in fighters who are friends of ours from other areas, and the agreement was, this is not just a fighting company. Like, you have to be able to fight together if you're going to be a fighting company.
Mm-hmm.
Was our decision, and so if you're not willing to, if you live somewhere else, that's fine, but you need to be willing to travel. So we may be taking on a petitioner and a little bit.
Don't do that right now.
Yeah, not right now. But in a little bit, we may be taking on a petitioner from another area. But it's somebody that travels a lot, and so that's possible,
Right.
But we agreed. Also, we operate by consensus. Everybody has to agree that you're the right person. Like, even before you petition, we all have to agree that that's the right choice.
So we had known Sarai since she was 14, 15-ish. And
she
we had
joined that
watched
part.
her. We had watched her grow. And at times, Alice and I, Zancha and I, have taken some mentoring roles in her life. So and have been kind of, you know, looking out for her. She's lived with us at times. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to make sure that we had established a relationship as friends and on kind of an equal footing before we did that. Which kind of was the same thing with MacGyver and Kira, who MacGyver has her daughter in the company with her. And you want to be able to have that relationship be kind of on equal footing and less of a parental and more of a friendship, I think, in order to have that, you know, fighting company dynamic work. So we kind of waited, gave it some time, watched her grow, watched her become more and more passionate, and
Waited for her to express an interest.
and waited for her to express an interest, because we kind of talked about it, I think, for a while. But then some of our requirements are that you can't just be a fighter. You have to be benefiting the game in some other way. And so
she stepped up in leadership at the park and really showed that she could be responsible and pull that off.
I believe she was Duchess at the time that she was initiated.
Yeah, she was.
So so we wanted someone who would be kind of to see someone leading other women. And our first iteration of that requirement was you have to lead some kind of a women's practice get together group. But I think we decided once Sarai was Duchess that she had fulfilled that requirement efficiently. So
we're a small group with a big impact, right? So whoever joins needs to be able to put in the time and the work to do things like a women's fighting tournament and have a presence in the game. And so if you're not, you know, gonna put in the time and have the leadership skills and the ability to articulate what this company means to you, then you're not the right fit. And if you don't know us, I mean, I think that's because we're small, it needs to be a group that gets along.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sarai wanted to know, or was asking for Kingdom of Kodiak, why an all-women's company?
MacGyver, do you want to take that, or I can?
Yeah. Why don't you start and I'll add?
Okay.
I've actually written some notes on some of the questions that I saw earlier. So, all right. So there's only 5 of us, but there's probably 5 opinions on any subject that you might ask any one of us about. So there was a lot of debate about being an all women's company. And there has been a lot of, I would say, you know, respectful, continued debate about our events and tournaments and how, you know, exactly how to run them and exactly who, you know, they're geared toward. So for me, and I think some of the Valkyries agree with me, that we're in a bit of a transition period where women in this game are still kind of fighting for a voice. And so we wanted to demonstrate a unified voice in front. And we have some things we debate on, but it's kind of we'll come to an agreement about what the Valkyries mean and what the Valkyries believe on certain subjects. And we wanted to kind of be that unified female voice that could maybe encourage other women to speak up. And that would be the way I would portray it.
Which is why we're consensus-based in the end. We heavily debate things, but when we finally come to a conclusion, it's the conclusion that everyone's the least unhappy with, which consensus and compromise always works.
Yeah, and which can only really work with such a small company. So we might have to redo that if we start getting bigger. But there's only 5 of us, so
yeah. But women still face a massive uphill battle in this game. We're by far the minority. There's a lot of misogyny. It's built into medieval history and culture, and that's what we're recreating. So to have a strong female voice that can stand up for women and women fighters, and even though there are a lot of women who aren't in our company who we still fight with and support. And that was a big part of what we wanted to do as a company, is build community for female fighters. We're now expanding that, not for our company. One of the biggest challenges for us has been the non-binary thing, because we want to be open and we want to include everyone. The company is still female, but our tournaments and Lucha this year, we opened it to anyone who feels like that's the right event for them, including non-binary folks, gender fluid, like whatever your gender orientation, non-male, right?
Which, I mean, it's really awesome to have there be a voice, and I'm so appreciative that you guys rep and you come in color and you're there and you're also trying to make the game better, which is awesome. So super cool. It's appreciated from this end. I'm sure the people in the chat would say the same. So
yeah, we're not anti-guy. We fight with a lot of guys.
But MacGyver, I fight you every time I see you.
That's true. I love fighting you.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole non-male thing, I know a lot of people have gotten a ton of criticism about that, and it kind of pisses me off, because it's like, well, you know, men have had a privileged place in this game from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? And every tournament is a male tournament. You know, like this is a safe space where we cannot feel all the pressure that comes with being a minority fighter, and a minority that's usually associated by a lot of people as being weaker or less agile, less athletic. So
I know that it was told last week, but Deverick and I got ran over by Kira for an entire day when we first started. So
true.
Yeah.
Most people do.
Yeah, exactly. And now she's another one of those fighters that I just like to fight against, because, you know, so awesome. Getting away from a little bit of the muddier stuff, I'll say muddier. Let's talk about your heraldry.
Yeah.
I can see it in the background of Lilius. Yep. What does it mean? Is there house colors? What do they mean?
Oh boy, howdy are they?
Yeah, so you can see our house colors. They are silver and kind of a silver gray and a navy. Company colors, right? Not
Sorry,
house
company. My apologies.
However, one way that we're a little different, I mean, I guess we took a cue here from the Lions, but we've expanded on it, and we have each tunic, we have our own color, and our heraldry is on the back of our tunic in our own color. Xantra just recently changed hers to black, so I'm making her a new tunic that matches that with the black. MacGyver obviously is that kind of ice blue. I have a kind of magenta color. And so yeah, everyone has their own color.
Kira's is like a bright green and Sarai's is like a dark forest green.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. And everyone gets to choose their own. Like the Lions choose their own eye color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we wanted to present a unified, like a uniform looking image while still having this feeling of diversity, because that's been a big part and a big important part of us forming and who we were, and our acceptance and kind of our backgrounds, which are very diverse.
I feel like it creates a scenario for you guys when a new person is looking for one of you to just be like, all right, well, you're looking for the Valkyrie with the light blue heraldry on the back, or the green, or the dark green, or the black, or what have you. It'd just be an opportunity for new players to find the person they're looking for easier, I guess.
And ideally, us fighting in a large battlefield to do the same, to be able to look across the field. And it's very identifiable. The tunics are identifiable, and the colors have been bright and identifiable, which is fun.
Yeah. And the sword, of course, I mean, this is the Valkyries have wings, and the four represent the four founders of the company. And we were founded as a fighting company. We had a lot of conversation about being a household or a fighting company, and we were really clear we wanted to be a fighting company.
Right. And for anyone that's listening, in retrospect, like the same thing was had when Deverick and I were forming Order of the Ash, where was it a fighting company? Was it a household? and we went the opposite direction. And that's where we stand. It's not about me though; it's about the Valkyries. So let's move on.
You asked about we have wingmen and wingwomen.
Oh yeah,
so terminology. So if you and winglings are our little petitioners. They're not always little, but petitioners. But yeah, wingmen like Demix is a. So we've got our bros, but then we've got wingmen like Demix who have always been really supportive of the company, and we fight with him a lot. And he's just somebody who's really close with us, and he understands our mission, and so he gets a little belt favor with just one wing, a little dagger.
Awesome. That's super cool. I did not know that. That's great.
And we gave Dame Emmer a special belt favor in rainbow colors to symbolize her connection with the Amazons.
So like our belt favor is more kind of like a loosely based house, kind of almost.
Yeah, like a support system that we wanted to acknowledge and recognize.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And something that occurred to me while we were just talking about this, I don't know that this was ever like part of the Valkyries' original mission. I mean, it kind of is, but if there's ever anybody at an event that their voice isn't being listened to or isn't being heard, like any of our colored tunics, you can go find us and be like, hey, here's the circumstance where my voice is being silenced. And like me, for example, I have a very bellowy voice. I'm really good at advocating for other people's voices.
That's awesome.
All of us would. I'm saying
that's true. You could come to any one of us, and we are people who have,
even if we didn't want to care, we'd start caring.
Been in diverse. We've come from diverse circumstances, and we've understood, all of us, what it's like to not feel heard in situations. So yeah, I would say that applies to every one of us.
That's fantastic. I hope that there's that kind of philosophy on how to treat people is something that we can spread across the game and not have to, I wouldn't say rely on you guys, but to make sure that you're the force behind it. I want that to be something that we would be able to just have. But thank you so much for being those people.
Yeah, well, and I want to say that we didn't start this movement, right? There was Issachar in Burning Lands and Dragonspine before, and a lot of women fought under that banner, and then they eventually became the Amazons, that then became a household, and went sort of in a different direction than the direction we wanted to go. But there have always been female fighters that have supported each other in Dragonspine, and we're kind of standing on their shoulders.
You're still standing proud, so I mean, you're here. So, all right, moving on. Still wanted to know, what do you expect out of people who wish to join the company? We kind of touched on that, and you've already told us about the current people that are in, but maybe we can get a little bit more detail. Is there someone in your company that is the best fighter, the best garber, etc.? Could you give us a little bit insight to that?
So for someone who wants to join the company, the first and most important aspect is they have to know us. Currently, we're local, and if someone non-local wants to join, they have to be willing to travel and get to know us at our park, at events we go to. It's possible that as we get larger, that could change. But for the moment, and we also have essentially each one of us can champion a petitioner. So we have kind of a system where a petitioner will have a specific Valkyrie who is, helping to reach out and champion that person and get to know them. But it is on them to kind of make sure that they're a part of our lives in whatever way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a petitioners page, or a potential petitioners page. It hasn't been super active lately. Obviously, none of us have been playing, but where folks can ask questions and get to know us a little bit better.
Okay.
We don't have an official petitioner. We don't have any official petitioners at the moment.
Officially, not right now. We've got some folks, thinking about it.
So
yeah,
that's all I'll say.
Pre-winglings.
Pre-winglings, yeah. Because by the time you become a wingling, it's basically like we've already decided we like you, we want you in the company, but there's some work you need to do before you get there. And it's really a growth process, and it's sort of we did a ton of work that first year figuring out who we are, what this company means, and putting together events and that kind of thing. So we want to make sure that people have the capacity to do that type of thing and invent their own way to improve the game. That's what the petitioning process really is about. It's personal growth. It's and spending time with us. But by the time you're a wingling, like, you're on the path.
Right. That's awesome. Again, like I don't get to hear a lot about other houses or companies or anyone else's mission like that. So to hear this stuff is just I'm getting lost in it, and I'm trying to also run a show here. So, but awesome, super exciting. Sarai was interested in knowing about the goals of the group, and then the question I always ask to extend on that is, if you could each give us your goals for what you want to do, either inside the Valkryies or what your personal goals in Amtgard are.
So the goals of the group are pretty simple. It's to promote women's fighting and build a women's fighting community. Mm-hmm. And also, to promote the personal growth of its members. That's the core of who we are. And fighting includes class fighting, battle games, team tactics, mm-hmm. that type of thing. We're not just stick jocks, although lately that's been more my style. But but we also want to make sure that people,
Lately, it's been all theory for me.
Yeah, Xantra's been all theory and is currently Kingdom Rules ref.
Yeah, so, but those are the goals of the company, is to promote women in fighting. And yeah, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, so my goals individually, I would say my goal personally is to continue crafting, and I'm excited to get back into battle gaming once things open back up and that's more accessible. Mm-hmm. I have not been doing just the straight fighting as much lately, but I like strategy and I like team dynamics, and so I'm really excited anytime I have a chance to do that. But definitely my path lately has been more crafting focused, and I'd like to achieve masterhood. I'm not sure how I feel about knighthood, but I'd like to get that master garber. It's probably garber would be my path.
And MacGyver, any individual or personal goals that you're trying to achieve?
Survive the quarantine. I feel like I'm drowning just with my regular job right now, and so it's been overwhelming. But I have been pelling, and even did a TikTok of me pelling, which is really fun. Glenn, if you're watching, we're gonna get you in one of those TikToks. So I've connected with some other Amtgarders through TikTok, which is kind of fun. And I've just been trying to stay healthy, but it's been a challenge. I really enjoyed Annabelle's the Regents challenges, because those kept me crafting and kept me active over the last couple months. It's been really hard to stay connected to Amtgard, so yeah, I want to keep crafting and make awesome stuff. Keep doing better and better. That's keep improving, keep learning new things.
Not to throw any spoilers out there, but June 1st, we should be seeing a return of the Regents challenges. So just keep you in the loop. Yeah.
I love the Champions challenges too. That Balder did. So I did all the challenges for Archer, Sniper. Sorry, Sniper was a title, and I know how you feel about that. Sorry about that. But Archer, Assassin, and Color. That was the most fun I've ever had in Amtgard, because they were ridiculous challenges. It was like you kill 20 people all from over 100 feet away, and it was like, this is fabulous. So it really pushed, gave you another objective for the game, and that was just a blast. And same with Bruce challenges.
On those same challenges. So some of Baldur's Reach challenges, one of them was like, write a short essay about reaving and something like that.
Yeah.
Another one was reave an entire battle game like an overexcited sports announcer.
I remember that one.
Right.
We filmed you.
No, because she did every one.
They verged all over the place. They really made you flex within the class and explore aspects of it you wouldn't otherwise. And I think that those were fantastic champion challenges.
They're absolutely brilliant. got
This
to
was
go
about a
flow
year
a lot
ago.
with
This was
Archer.
when Balder was Kingdom champion.
Yeah.
Well, we got champion challenges this reign as well. Lana's doing a weapon growth over the reign. So completing the
Cool.
challenges, making a magic weapon for yourself, super fun. And this week the challenge was simply just to name a weapon. So if you're interested, by all means, you should jump
Gotta
into that as
go.
well. So Kenjin was interested in knowing if the company has any activities planned. I know there is obviously some.
Yeah.
Oh,
my God,
we were
this
so
Ivers.
we put in so much work, so much work to Lucha, and it was like the week before, and we didn't want to cancel, but you know, the weekend that Lucha happened is when, or would have happened, is when they closed all the public schools in New Mexico. So it was really
We
crappy
canceled-
timing.
We canceled a week in advance before government requirements came into play. But by the time Lucha happened, I think it would have been canceled anyway.
I'm a huge nerd when it comes to stats and shit like that, and just epidemics in general. Like I was in, when the last epidemic we had with Ebola, I tracked that voraciously because I care about viruses because I'm weird. But I was paying attention to this, and like a couple days before we decided to cancel, I was like, hey guys, we need to cancel Lucha. And everybody was like, no, we don't need to do that. And I was like, all right, but like,
No.
let's look into it. And then everybody's
But
like,
she was persuasive. I'm really glad she convinced us to. And a lot of our, what really put the nail in the coffin was that we had instructors traveling from other states, and we knew that just wasn't going to be safe for them or safe for our participants. So, you know, we're trying to reschedule, but at this point it's impossible to know when it's going to be safe.
Right.
You know, I'd love to do Lucha in October, but I don't know that that's going to be safe. So maybe we'll do some online classes and, you know, do something, but I'm still super sad about it.
Let's put the spoiler out there right now, guys. Next year, we're out of quarantine. Lucha 21, Lucha 20, late 20, whatever. Is that a yes?
When it is available, when it's a possibility, and we're not going to be risking infecting people, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah, there's so much interest. We had a huge group of people participating, coming from all over the country. It's a massive event, and we had fantastic instructors. So it's really good to depend on their schedules too. But I think, and we got sponsored by a bunch of kingdoms across. So we have some, you know, money to help pay for people who can't afford to go. So yeah,
And
we'll definitely be doing it. Huh?
Some cool gear that was promised, right?
I know. So.
Oh, but sitting in reserve, waiting.
I know. I'm really sad about it.
Oh.
So we're just
don't let
let's talk about other things.
Okay, sure. All right. Well, actually, it's a great question from Kenja then. How do you maintain a positive outlook?
In the midst of the coronavirus, or just
in the midst of the coronavirus, in the midst of everyday AmpGuard, in the midst of real life coming in the way and being super hectic, but you're still wanting to participate? How do you maintain that positive outlook?
Well, I think like like we were just talking about, those challenges make all the difference, because you have something to challenge yourself with, something to look forward to, and you're interacting with other AmpGuarders. I love Elizabeth Maley's stuff, and like I love watching what she's going to post and anticipate what she and other crafters are going to put up there. Yeah, I started making videos too, which has been a lot of fun. Just having something like a project.
Yeah, so we've had some interesting setbacks to, so how to put this? I think we started out as a fighting company whose goal was to be some really like top tier fighters,
the elite fighting force,
the elite fighting force. And it was right around the time we began that Xantra was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And
I had the injury.
Yeah, and you've had a couple different, concussion issues, and Sarai recently was skating with a, on like a date, and her knee went sideways instead of back and forward. And she ended up in the hospital and has been slowly regaining the use of that leg and that knee over the course of the last couple months. So kind of life happens. And I think we've all realized to some extent, we're focusing on fighting to different extents, and as we can. Xantia can do a limited amount. I have periods of the year where my allergies are so bad I can't leave the house, so that's interesting for me. But something that we've realized is that we don't have to be the most elite fighting force to be a voice for women's fighting and encouraging that collaboration and that spirit of camaraderie, which is really what lucha is. Because while we help participate, and I love to run kind of roundtable discussions, I really like to to kind of just be in charge of that and make sure everyone has a voice. But we were finding some really excellent female fighters who could come and teach and speak, and we can do that coordination, and we can do that just spirit of fun together, where we all feel like we're exerting ourselves, enjoying ourselves as much as we can, with knees notwithstanding, and fibromyalgia and all of those things. You don't have to be pushing yourself to the point where you're injuring yourself to be enjoying what AmpGuard fighting has to offer. So
exactly. I still want to be an elite fighter, just to be clear. I will be going to SKBC whenever it happens again.
You are?
I will be paying attention to Annette and Sandari and Kiara and these folks who are going to come teach. And Kira wants to get back and fight. So we miss it. I miss fighting a lot. So I'm excited to get back to it.
That was that was also breaking news just there. You're going to try to go to Sword Night Boot Camp?
Well, next year.
Yeah, I was also setting up to go this year too.
Yeah,
so
I've been 3 times now.
Oh, yeah?
It's fantastic. Yeah, I go every chance I get.
Oh, fantastic. That's awesome.
Yeah, in terms of like the women's fighting game, we're holding our own. But more than anything, we are built. The whole point, right, was to build up a ton of other women fighters. And so I think we've really been successful in that goal. And it's exciting to see all these female tournaments all over the game. And I feel like we've been part of that, and cheering people on. And it's not just us, obviously, there's a whole movement, but I feel like we've been a big part of it. Sure.
Yeah, you guys are definitely an active. I'm sorry, what was that?
Xantia said shout out to the men and allies who helped, and yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Wheel
in particular
silently for our event Lucha. They were going to do that, I think, again this time. They were pretty quiet. So kind of our thing with Lucha is, as a man, you're welcome to be present as long as you're not taking up a lot of space, verbal space, as long as you're making space for women, because that's and non-binary folks, because that's just the purpose of this event.
Sure.
And there are lots of places in AmpGuard where men can take up lots and lots of space. So so it's kind of that pull back a little bit and be a little more reserved and be a little more of an observer as opposed to really inserting yourself. That came out.
Yeah, we don't have Anatole teaching. We don't have Shion teaching. We've got Kiara and Annette and Sandari teaching. And the guys are doing lunch.
But we really respect their graciousness and in doing
We've learned a ton from them, right? I mean, that's who's taught a lot of my fighting skills are the wheeled guys.
It's not about trying to silence anyone. It's really just trying to create an environment where the least heard voices can get to be the loudest for a while. Like, that's more than anything the goal. And just based on the dynamics of the human ear, a deeper voice gets heard more, it resonates more in your skull. So whenever we're doing classes or events, I shut up.
Other than this, I guess.
Other than this.
Yeah, it's fine. Actually, the other day, because I've been on TikTok, people are all commenting on my voice, and you have a really deep voice for a woman, and I realized, internalized misogyny. Like, I use this deep voice because what?
Alice says it
Like,
means you get heard more. Don't.
That's
fret about
exactly
it.
right. I get heard more, and as a person in a position of authority, I've learned to use a deep voice. When I sing, I'm a first soprano. I have the highest possible singing voice, but when I speak and when in public speaking, I always speak with a low voice. So there's something to it, and yeah, certainly we've learned a lot about gender. I really appreciate the work that Annette Heine has done in particular around gender and statistics and women's bodies and how, you know, we all interact differently. She's done a ton of research. So if you guys aren't friends with Annette Heine yet, friend her, go check out her page, because she's always posting awesome stuff about fighting, and women's fighting in particular.
Awesome. There's so many questions to ask. I'd love to keep asking about this one specifically, but we're gonna move on. Can you share some highlights from your company? Give us like 2 or 3, 100 if you got them, but.
I was absolutely delighted by so we're not gonna talk about our whole, you know, initiation and how all of that works. However, one of the things that is pretty, you know, people were able to see at Maze last year, and that MacGyver made happen, and I helped execute, was that we made Sarai run around and talk to people and collect all of the pieces of the Valkyrie heraldry that would then be put into her shield without actually knowing what she was doing or why. And so we kept just awarding her pieces as she went and completed these quests, like go ask a knight, you know, a serpent knight about X thing and how they got, you know, came to I don't know what their least favorite and most favorite project was or whatever, and so just kind of a networking thing where every time she would complete one, we'd award her another piece of her shield, and yeah, kind of get to know and get to respect the people who came before, who have made what we're doing now possible.
Yeah, one of her assignments as a petitioner was to interview Boots Scholl, and that was a really fantastic experience for all of us to get to know Boots a little bit better too. But you know, for those of you who aren't familiar with Boots, she's the first female sword knight, and so to have that conversation and connect our journey with her journey is really special. Highlight for me is when Kira said yes. That was
that Kira was a hard
like, all
sell.
right. She was
at first. I think she's happy with her decision, but it was a difficult decision, and she was a hard sell.
Yeah, it was tough. Our company, unlike some companies where you have to be exclusive, we decided, because we have such a unique mission, if you want to be a part of another fighting company, so if you wanted to be Vanguard and Valkyrie, because Vanguard is men and women, right? Is that right? That they have a different mission and purpose, and then they'll be a part of Valkyries as long as you still had loyalty and time with us. Kira was a lion at the time, and the lion said, no, you can only be one. And her journey with the lions was ending. I won't tell her story, but you know, it was a right time anyway. So that freed her up to be 100% with us. But yeah, our company, you can belong to our company and belong to another company. We have no one who does that, but theoretically.
Right. It's there if it needs to be. Cool. All right.
There are a couple of folks that got away that their companies would not work with us. I'm sad about, but it worked out for the best. I love our current makeup. Like, the people who are here are meant to be here.
Right. All right. So Zana asked last week, and I really liked the question, so I'm going to throw it at you now. The Valkryies are in full force, and they're in a battle game together. Describe what that team looks like.
Kira's a druid, sword and board.
We're going to have to convince Xancha not to be a necromancer, because, well, not to be specifically a gummy necromancer, because all she wants to is gummy people, and if it's just the 5 of us, we all want to use our abilities.
If it's just the 5 of us, I'm a wizard.
There
If
you
the 5
You
of us
can-
are working together on a
You
larger
can gummy
team,
me, Alice. I can be a gummy archer, right?
you can, but it's not really worth it. If we're on a bigger team, though, that is my favorite thing to do, is to roll around before the game starts with a bunch of monk sashes with gummy strips attached and be like, hey, who wants to cheat death?
I want somebody to play bard so I can go sniper.
I'm probably also druiding, but Kira plays a very self-sufficient, very independent, battle-oriented druid. I play a very team-focused, CC-focused druid. I've probably golemed Xancha because I'm working on this golem, on this mutual magic caster kind of anyway. Combo pile. Yes, I'm working on this build. That I'm haven't fully developed yet.
Okay. So we
Yeah,
have.
I'd probably follow. So I do a lot of ditching with Kira. I sometimes still get in her way, but I'm trying. But I like having her shield nearby. I think I would follow whoever's got a shield.
Sean is a shield. Sean's a healer, sword and board.
That's true. She
Yeah.
probably.
I'd probably be with Sean. In fact, we've done that in a game before.
So I think this has revealed something, is that we're almost all casting. And I do agree with some other voices and believe that casting is OP compared to melee in V8. So I'm looking forward to V8.5, where
it's better than it ever has been. Casters have been getting nerfed in every edition.
where melee will be a little more balanced, so we'll be able to really focus.
beat people up with sticks.
Right.
Yeah, because since I leveled druid, I've tried to go back to barbarian a couple times and I can't do
Right.
it.
So Sarai would like to clarify, it's flail and board, not sword and board.
Oh God, that's right.
let's-
Goodness
I-
gracious. We tried real hard. There was Sarai also had to learn how to not just use a flail. Although Sarai is killer with a flail and with pole. She has a really good
bad with
ranged
sword.
game. So does Ariel.
Solid with sword, but you know what, Sarai, I respect her. She's not ruining her elbows with that flail.
Exactly. And she's
So-
solid with the sword too. She's a really versatile player. She's super athletic. She's learning. Yeah,
Awesome.
she's a great addition to our company and life.
So Stillhill asked, have you had any challenges being the voice to support females in Amtgard?
Figuring out what that means.
Yeah, actually, that's
There's like we can't all agree, and really no one can agree on what the correct direction is for female fighting. And honestly, I don't think there's a correct direction. I think that there's a lot of conversations that need to happen that are necessary to slowly refine what, where we need to be going. And we recognize the women that have come before us who have some perspectives and will say some things sometimes that are kind of like, well, that was your generation and we feel like we've moved past that, but their voices were necessary for our voices to come now. So the concept of women fighting and women in Amtgard just continues to grow and develop, and just kind of having those conversations about who do we have in our tournaments, and if we're having a women's tournament, do we want our trans female fighters to like have followed Olympic standards, for instance? And obviously we're not going to be that intrusive, and we're not going to be like, writing down like dates of when did you start taking HRT, but like there are a lot of really difficult conversations happening around femininity and around what a women's tournament means that we just have to keep having, and there's no easy answer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, calling it a non-male tournament makes it a lot easier, and then we just say, it's how you identify. And we've always said that trans women are women and they're welcome in our women's events. End of story. It's more the non-binary and gender fluid folks that we're trying to figure out how to work with, because we have wanted to be a unique voice for female fighters who face some of the same challenges as other non-male folks, but also some unique challenges. So yeah, that's been really tricky. And I do feel like there's been some pushback against having trans women in our tournaments, but we have not backed down on that at all. I mean, we will fight to the death for our trans women sisters because they belong to be in the game, and they are going through the same kind of stuff that we're going through. Those of us who are, cis women.
I believe the statement was made earlier about being a safe place. And
Yeah.
I mean, it still creates a safe place, which is fantastic.
We
so
try. We're learning.
Everyone's learning. We're all trying. Some of us are going to be a lot slower to come around than others, but don't forget your path. You guys are doing great things, so don't ever give up on that. Wow. So
the other challenge is facing each other in tournaments. I have to put that out there.
Okay.
Kira and I went 1-2 at the Salt Wars tournament, and it was like, man, I'm up against like my kid again. This sucks. So that's tough, right? We want to support each other, and it's tough when we come up against each other. And but yeah, there's nobody I'd rather lose to, I guess.
Right. It does speak to your
Or
talent
beat.
too. Yeah, that you're first and second in a tournament. That's pretty good. I wish I could take second in a tournament. That
It was a really good tournament. It was a lot of fun. So the Desert Winds has done a lot with women's fighting. I've been impressed with them.
Cool. All right. So this is I'm going to just put it out there, the most controversial question. I talked to both of you about it before we started. We're not sure why it's being asked, but I'm going to ask it because that's what I do. Eliza Joy wants to know, why is the company such a secret? And what is the understanding of watching tournaments by people that aren't in the tournament, especially people that can't fight?
Sure. I think we've expressed a little bit that members of our company have had some physical difficulties, that some that are permanent, some that come and go. So we want AmpGuard to be a place that is inclusive to people who are able to fight and people who are not able to fight. So as far as being involved in a tournament, if you are not able to fight, if you're someone who has a fighting background and has kind of an understanding, we're always looking for good reeves, any tournament we're running. And as far as, now, I don't know that we'll be running a tournament because we had done the last 2 years a Gathering of the Clans, but I believe we weren't going to do it this year anyway, but it's canceled as far as I know.
I probably won't be going back to Gathering of the Clans.
So people are welcome to be on the sidelines. People are welcome to watch and to keep a respectful distance from the fighting pits and from the reeves. People are not welcome to make loud commentary, and we did have some of that happen at the last tournament that we ran that was not positive. And so we have considered having some reeves who aren't directly reeving, but who are available to kind of make sure that that sort of thing doesn't happen again. That's unfortunate that we've had to consider that, but it looks like maybe we do. So yeah, watching and enjoying it and commenting in a way that is non-disruptive to your companions, great. Catcalling, not great, not welcome. And we'll probably be met with some reeves who might have a discussion and might go get the person running the event to remove someone if necessary. So
yeah.
It's
frustrating that we have to like teach people how to be respectful of women. I feel like at this point that should be just part of the ROP and people should know better. But that's also part of our mission, is educating people and helping people understand in a way that's graceful and do our best where that's concerned.
Okay. No, the fact that it has to be discussed is kind of disgusting. That should just be known. But
in terms of us being a secret, I took that personally. I don't want us to be a secret. I want everyone to know that we exist. I want everyone to know about the Valkryies. I want us to be widely publicized. They're parts of our process that are more private. I wouldn't say that they're secretive. I guess we have some documents and some stuff about, I don't know, but the process is between the Valkyries and the people joining. And it's very personal. And I think that's probably why it's not like we're not going to publicize everybody's business.
Right.
You know, and we have some rituals that are special for us.
The documents are, yeah, they're kind of rituals. I would say they're probably nothing particularly interesting or surprising to non-Valkyries. We are officially,
we have a no hazing policy.
Yeah, we're officially against hazing. Exactly where the line
trial by shots will get you kicked out of the company. That's for Delos and
right. Look, we're not gonna do dumb stuff like
yourselves.
That's all. That's all I'm saying on that subject in particular.
I will still do dumb stuff. I just won't do it in company colors.
Okay. Xancha will not.
I'm not gonna do trial by shots.
Trial by shots.
But yeah, trial by shots.
Colors.
And we also don't have like secret behavioral rules. That was something that another female group at one point had about sort of like sexual ethics and stuff. And we're like, yeah, that's your private business. That's not, we're not going to dictate that. But hopefully we are not a secret. Tell everyone about us. At the very least, we can support you in your journey.
We are just 5 people in New Mexico. So if it seems like we're secretive, it might be because I feel like we maybe made a big splash, but we're small. We're a small company. So we're not really, there's not that many of us. We're all local. So if you have I don't know, if you have a question, ask it. And if it's not a direct question about exactly how does an initiation occur, we will probably answer it. And yeah, that's, I mean, yeah, we don't, like MacGyver said, no special behavioral rules, no special mores that you have to follow. Other
than the COC.
Right.
Yeah, the COC and being a voice for female fighting and being a.
Well, like I said,
if you don't identify as a woman, so if one of us goes on that journey, you know, it is a female fighting company.
Okay. Well, I did want to get it out there because I know you guys don't want to be a secret. I know that. But it's, you know, you guys are New Mexican and Pegasus Valley at this point. So,
yeah.
But okay.
And yeah, like it's kind of cool though. Like when I went to SKBC and I took out my gear and there were people that recognized our heraldry and were like, "Oh, are you one of the Valkryies?" So there is a network of women that talk together about fighting and that sort of recognize who we are and what we stand for, which is great. I don't think we've been as active lately in the conversation, in part because, well, I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't been active in Amtgard.
Well,
except crafting at home, right?
Yeah.
Like I haven't been to the park in 3 months, so.
Yeah, Amtgard hasn't been active in Amtgard either, so.
Yeah, that's a trick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Staying active right now.
Right, which actually brings us to the next question. Sir Glenn was interested in knowing about what you're doing to keep your fighting edge while we're in this isolation.
I don't know, Glenn. I think you should watch my TikTok that I tagged Kiara in and go show me how to do it better. You will know. No, I'm giving Glenn a hard time because he is not on TikTok, but Kiara is, and she has super cute cats, and I love them. But I did a fighting video on there. So Pelling, trying to just stay in shape.
Do you want
to walking my dog? Okay.
Walking the dog.
Yep, I have not been fighting at all. I've been crafting. That's been my thing lately. I know Sarai is constantly fighting as much as her knee will allow, and it's slowly healing with whomever she has available and is quarantined with. So she's keeping that edge up and really, really improving, and has been taking some placements in some tournaments lately. So I'm excited to see how that goes when things open back up.
Right.
Kira is also teaching me Kung Fu.
Oh, cool.
Every week. Yeah.
Cool.
Kira knows Kung Fu. I don't know if y'all knew that. So
I mean, we know now.
You know now. So Kira is teaching me kung fu.
Awesome. Since we talked about it, MacGyver, would you like to give us the TikTok name or whatever we need to find you?
It's at Good Shepherd ABQ. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't put it in a chat or anything. Oh, but I can get on Facebook because now I found my phone.
Okay.
I'll put it in the little chat. But
Okay.
yeah, you have to scroll down. I can post it. In fact, you know what? I'll just post a link right now. It's the cringiest video possible. So just keep that in mind.
It's not a
But
problem.
that's part of the draw.
No. Okay. All right. We got 2 questions
go.
left.
Oh, I responded to Robert. So yeah.
Well, we'll have it. There it is. It just popped up. I saw it. Fantastic. 2 questions left. Dame Annabelle Lee asks, do you feel there should be a separate path for female fighters for women to reach knighthood in the Order of the Sword? And then also, I wanted to put out there that there was a recent survey put out Amtgard wide about this topic. So should there be a separate path? And also the survey, how do you feel like that helped or hurt that decision?
What were the results of the survey?
No, it was just it was being put out earlier this week. There was a survey put out about when certain orders of the warriors should be awarded to people for what quality of service, and then also if distinguishing between female and male tournaments.
We could be here for the next 5 hours having that conversation.
Okay.
There's so many pros and cons to doing it either way. I do think there's certain fighters who are at the top of their game, but a lot of the female fighters that are at that 7th, 8th, 9th level of fighting are against having a separate female path. So I think that tells you something. I don't know what it tells you, but there are other folks who are at 6th, 7th, 8th who I think have been phenomenal teachers for a long time in the game and deserve recognition as teachers. So I don't know of sword fighting, and I don't know if that's, well, Kiara is one of them, right? Kiara teaches at SKBC.
Mm-hmm.
She's an exceptional fighter. She's somebody I've looked up to as a female fighter since the beginning. I don't know, if Sword Knight is the right title or what. I'm not going to weigh in on that, but I do know that she has the qualities of knighthood, and she's an exceptional fighter that I've followed my whole career, specifically as a female fighter, somebody I could look up to.
Right.
So this is just such a complicated question. This is potentially the most divisive question in this whole thing. It's complicated because you have many facets, right? You have a gender politics facet. You have a physicality facet, which includes things like fat distribution, ability to build muscle. Some of those things are hormonally impacted. Kind of the placement and width and cant of your, hip bones and structure, and all sorts of things that impact Olympic sports. Height and reach, I think, has a pretty big impact. I have kind of my own theory on that, and flexibility. And some of these things are impacted hormonally. Some of them are impacted by bone structure. Some of them are gendered. Some aren't.
Some of it's just that a lot of guys grow up playing sports their whole lives, right? Like your hand, put a ball in your hand before you can walk. Yeah. Whereas most women, like I grew up an athlete, but not everybody has an opportunity, and I think a lot of women are behind. Like Amtgard is the first sport that they've played, and so you just have a lot of catching up to do athletically in terms of learning how to train and coordination and all of that.
But my concern is that beyond kind of that, the whole concept of Sword Knight, the whole path to Sword Knight was created to favor men playing the game, because that's who was playing and that's who was striving for that a lot in the early days. So I think we have a lot of inherent biases in the way Sword Night is structured, even down to the fact that it's called Sword Night. It focuses so intently on that one element of fighting as opposed to other things like reach, like archery, like battle gaming,
right?
like tactics. So we have focused
two-man teams is almost never a scored event.
Right, two-man teams is almost never scored. So some of these areas where you see in Olympic sports, for instance, that things that involve shooting are much more neck and neck than some of the other Olympic area events. However, archery isn't even considered. It's not even a possibility as far as becoming a sword knight. So I think what we need personally is a revamp of the whole concept of our physical knight, our knight who is a master of the physical aspects of the game, because I think that it has some really deep-seated biases towards masculinity and towards it being easier. Now, that's not to say that some women can't make it, and some, we have one, and we have some who are on their way. And I think that as we deconstruct some of the gender biases and some of the things that have made it difficult for women, gender politics-wise, to get into the game, I think that we'll have more women achieving that. But I think that we need to deconstruct some of those biases around the idea of what a sword knight even is and how you achieve that might be slanted towards masculinity from the very get-go that we haven't really taken into consideration.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Just a little insight into the survey, it does mention archery and how many orders of the warrior you would give to someone for participating in archery. And for what fields of that, like battle games and such. So you should take a look at that survey, maybe give your voice to that as well.
Yeah. And we have Paragon, we have other things, and we have Warlord, which I think is an appropriate title for, people who go that path. But Sword Knight is something fundamentally different, and it's a expectation of teaching and leadership. And so the question is, if you are the best female fighter in the game, and you also exhibit teaching and leadership, should we not recognize you as a sword knight, given that you are, and then that's the bar where it's set, right? Just like our serpent knights set the bar. It's like, okay, that's the bar for serpent knight. Now you push and try to reach that or surpass that.
Right.
I think we need to start somewhere, but I don't know that sword knight's the direction. And if you ask some of our top female fighters, they don't want different treatment for the most part.
We have this kind of division, so it's incredibly complicated because we have this division in female kind of perspectives, and there's this perspective of some of the older generation and some of the newer generation of I want to be one of the guys, I want to fit in. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I would say the Valkryies have more of a perspective of we don't need to fit in. We are what we are. We are who we are. And then I spend a lot of time hanging out with LGBT and trans people, and that involves a lot of deconstructing of what does gender even mean. And you come down to a point where it's really hard to define. You have a couple physical differences, and you have some really strong cultural biases and cultural kind of associations. And then beyond that, what does it mean to you? Why does it mean that thing to you? And there are just a lot of conversations about that. But in the end, what we're trying to do is make sure that people who have often been raised to think that they're less physically capable and that they have to be quieter and take up less space realize that they can take up their space and that they can have that voice and that they can be physically present, intimidating, powerful. And so that's kind of our goal. And if that goal means separating out women's fighting so that we can have some female sword knights that we can look up to, then maybe that's where we need to go right now. And maybe that's not physically where we need to go in the end, but it's hard for a woman to even attempt that path when she doesn't have those role models. So
if I knew getting to 6th order was sort of the goal, I might really push for it, but as it is, it's kind of like, well, sword knight's not attainable for me as is, You say that, but it's not with my physical body and the amount of work to put in, right? So on the one hand, well then, Sword Knight needs to be at that high level and really difficult to attain, as it is. On the other hand, maybe more women would give it a shot if there was some sort of something they could shoot for. I don't know.
Right.
And I don't know that separating things out is helpful to anyone either. So yeah, it's complicated. Nobody has the right answers yet. I think probably what Ariel really hit on that I loved was that she talked about why we want to do this, not like, should we have female sword knights or whatever. It's like, okay, well, what's actually the goal? If the goal is to promote female fighting and get more women in the game, then maybe the goal is different than if the goal is to have the absolute best foam fighting sport. If we want to represent foam fighting as the ultimate best foam fighters in all of LARPing, then maybe that's different than do we want to, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
so
really
anyway,
important.
I think looking at the goal of Amtgard fighting and of the Sword Knight title in general is probably a good place to start.
Fantastic. It's a great answer. I'm sorry it's such a tough question, especially here at the end, but just to get your insights on it, it's fantastic. MacGyver, I know you and I have argued, maybe not argued is not the right word, about your stance in the fighting community, but you no is my answer, and you know that. So
yeah,
you can.
No, I always said that, like, if the goal is to beat the best sword knight, if that's what you have to do, right? If I have to beat the top warlord in order to be a sword knight, and then on the other hand, I have to beat like the best crafter, like I have to beat Amy, okay? Then I'm going for sword.
Yeah.
If the crafters in Dragonspine are the bar, then Sword Knight sounds great. And I'll keep training there. I'm happy at 9.
Oh my goodness.
But there is some issues currently with the sword path in Dragonspine. There are some issues where if you look at the requirements to get past 5th, is it 5th or 6th?
To get 5th, you have to get 3rd in a kingdom tournament.
Yeah, so if 3 of our sword knights show up to a kingdom tournament, every kingdom tournament, which they were doing for a while, we were having consistently 3 sword knights. Yeah. You have to beat a sword knight to get your 5th order of the warrior.
That's correct.
So that might be, I think personally, I really think that's an issue with how our requirements for progressing in orders are set up, because that doesn't seem. And so then to become a sword knight,
you have to travel.
And you have to travel a lot. And to become a sword knight, you have to beat the current best sword knights out there. So it keeps raising the bar, which can be a good thing, or which eventually we're going to kind of top out. Like that's what every Olympic sport does. It slowly gets closer and closer and closer and closer. And we're going to get to some physical limitations eventually where someone's at the top of their game and no one's going to beat them for a very long time. So then do we never have a new sword knight? Is it 10 years? Because, like Olympic records have been set that have lasted for like 15 years.
Yeah. You
get someone who just excels, just is beyond the curve. And then does that mean we don't have a new sword knight for the next 10 years? So,
there's no other path that's like that, right? You don't have to to be a flame knight. You don't have to create a bigger, better, more like servicey event than anyone ever has, like I joke about trying to beat Amy and Ben at crafting, but if I had to go up against Amy and Ben, and consistently win against them in order to become a master, God, that would be really hard. They're the best of the best, and we don't have that in other path. Right? You have to be exceptional and you have to be a master, but you don't have to be the master. And warlord, you got to be the master.
Yeah, I think every level of Dragon, right up near the top, says win a kingdom level tournament or produce work of the same quality. Oh, like a lot of the high tier awards, that's what, or produce work of that of an overall recognized, accepted quality that is at that level. So you are at that level.
Yeah,
Okay.
I gotta do something epic.
Okay. All right. Last question. Still wanted to know, how would you suggest for someone who wants to start fighting, but is anxious around males to further along fighting? Because we've discussed Amp Guard is predominantly male.
Mhm.
So what do we do
Come
here?
find one of us. I really try anytime there's a non-male that shows up to the park to go introduce myself, and I try to work with them or find another woman or non-binary person to work with them. And that's something, if you are a woman or you are a non-male person, that you can do, is really welcome people in. I didn't start fighting until somebody invited me to the women's tournament at Gathering of the Clans. That was my first day fighting with a sword ever. But it was a place where I felt comfortable and I felt affirmed. It's tough if you don't have other women at your park, but reach out to us and we'll support you. Pegasus Valley, we're really lucky. We're about half and half, male, non-male.
I think we have, I think as someone who was socialized female, we have this shared wealth of experience, and part of that, so socialized female is a term that I like to use to indicate like just this background that some people share, and not to be disrespectful of anyone's gender identity, but there are these shared aspects of background. So if you were raised with the expectation that you're a woman, you were probably raised to step back and make space. And personally, I'm not saying this is the only way, but I just fought against that, and I'm a little too aggressive as a fighter now. So there was a flinch response, like a very deeply ingrained flinch response when something's coming at me, especially coming at my face. And
a lot of women struggle with that.
I would say find someone safe to work on that with, because you have to work that out of yourself in order to be an effective fighter. You cannot have that flinch response. So someone who is accurate and who is kind and who is not going to be dismissive of you, and who's going to listen. And then if you can find that person and just have them throw shots at your face without hitting your face for a while, and like throw shots at you, and make sure you're leaning into it, not stepping back, you're responding to it instead of reacting to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once you can get over that, so you instead of having that instinctive reaction, you're having a trained, purposeful reaction, then I think it's a lot easier to develop all of the rest of the skills that come after.
There's also this thing as a woman, like I've been an athlete my whole life. It's important to me that I be strong and fast, and it's embarrassing because I've been told my whole life that I'm weaker because I'm a girl, whatever, and I fought against that and proved myself over and over again. When I entered a new sport, I didn't want to reinforce this stereotype that girls suck at fighting, right? So to fight with another woman, it was safe because I knew she wasn't going to be like, oh, you suck at fighting because you're a girl. I sucked at fighting because it was my first day fighting, Glenn made a point in the chat that I finally looked at too about breaking up people. I think this is not just true of women, but new fighters. Like, I don't want new fighters to go and spar with Kira on day one, because she will just destroy them and they don't want to come back. Unless they're being super egotistical 20-year-old boys that are like, we're better than everyone, and they're hurting people. Then I'm like, hey, Kira, go teach them some sword fighting. But the idea of breaking people up into divisions, sorry, not to hurt them, but to let them know that there's, put them in their place. But there's, dividing people up into divisions is really helpful, and having new fighters fight with people that are going to be gentle and not throwing them in with sword knights and getting discouraged. It's the same of ANS tournaments too. Having a 5 and under ANS tournament is an awesome idea. Because then you get some success, right? Like, we all need a little bit of success to be motivated to keep pushing.
Right. No, it is a great idea. I would not be opposed to trying to do that at our mid-range. It gives an opportunity for people who are new /struggling/learning an opportunity to still be recognized in a game where we already have the elite of the elite.
Yeah, we also have a lot. So one idea about the fighting and teaching and sort of back to that, martial arts has a process where a lot of them where you learn a certain curriculum. We don't do that in AmpGuard. We throw people in and we like teach them wrap shots on day one. What if we had a process where it's like, when you have gotten down this amount of, you know, footwork and learned this, then you get to move on to the next level. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't have white belts fighting black belts in tournaments. That's just not how it goes, and it's not safe for either, right?
Right. No, that's fair. All right, guys. We have
also Elizabeth Maley should definitely move to Albuquerque.
No, she's moving to Cruces.
No, wait, what? No, Albuquerque.
Oh. I would adore having Tajima and Stillhell and Nimbus in Cruces every week.
Just move all of you. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well.
I love those people.
Well, we have reached the end of the questions. Lady Lilith, Lady MacGyver, thank you so much for coming. This was fantastic. I think I know specifically I learned a lot about what's going on with the Valkryies. A great group of people coming together for a great cause. Don't lose that drive, please. And I hope to see those colors very soon.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for like convincing us to do this, and we got to put on our tunics and
not a problem.
Feel like you put some AmpGuard back into the house. It was good.
Yeah,
well, I got to see Lilith and our cool banner.
Yeah, this
Lilith
banner
designed that.
We co-made it for the banner competition last rain, and we were going to display it at Lucha, and that didn't happen.
No.
So now it's residing above my work desk,
right.
And it is just something I look at every day. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good to see everybody. I miss the Cruces folks too.
Well, we miss you.
I really hope we got to do a little field trip down there once this is over. Or when they let us fight in masks or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I need to lose because you beat me every time. So I'm okay with
learning.
that.
It's called learning.
Yes, I'm learning. I'm learning that I get beat a lot because you are a skilled fighter.
It's not that you lose, right? You learn. That's yeah. Anyway, we could talk fighting strategy all day. But
right.
That's probably a really important thing for a new female fighter. You're not losing, you're learning. So maybe if you don't have a good female, or just a safe person that you feel like you can fight with, even if there isn't someone to just every time you fight someone and you lose a match, just take something away from it. What can I learn from this? What can I take away? What did they use against me? What can I kind of work on it? And maybe have that positive perspective, because it can be discouraging to come in and feel like you're getting beat a lot.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not about it drives me crazy when I fight people who are like super try hard and all they want to do is win. It's like, let's learn from each other. That's like, you don't do that. Like, it's nice to fight with people who are working on a skill, who are trying something, who are trying to dial something in, or who are trying to pay attention to your style and learn and adjust. Again, it's not about winning and losing. In a tournament, it's about winning and losing. Right? But in practice, it's about learning. So
I mean, yeah, we did work on offhand sword last time. So
yeah. And not backing off.
Yeah.
You kept falling off the.
Yeah, I kept falling off the pavilion. Yeah, I'm really good at falling. It's one of my best traits. All right. Again, thank you both so much. I do want to make just a couple announcements to the kingdom since I have some of your ears. Let's not forget about Champion Zana's Champion Challenge for making your magical weapon this week. Again, June 1, you should be seeing the return of Regions Champion challenges. Sorry, as long as that hasn't changed. Additionally, next week I will be putting out a video just as an update to the kingdom for everyone to catch on to, additional to Kingdom of Kodiak. So be looking out for that, just to give you some insight. Again, Lady MacGyver, Lady Lilith, thank you again so much for participating. if you happen to know anyone, King of Kodiak viewers, along with you guys, that is interested in doing the next 2 weeks of fighting companies and households, please have them reach out to me, as I'm still looking for 2 more weeks of it, and then we'll move on to our next subject. But until next Wednesday, I'm Kodiak, and this has been King of Kodiak. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys. This was an honor. Thanks for inviting us.
Oh, thank you.
It was really
Bye, guys.
nice.